She called the cops and screamed, "Arrest him." But I was on my own land. I froze, holding the grocery bag tight, my heart thumping. Across the driveway, Karen, perfectly coiffed, eyes blazing with fury, was pointing at me like I was some criminal. "You can't live here anymore. This neighborhood has rules," she barked, waving a crumpled HOA notice. I looked down at the paper. It was fake, I knew it. But the fear in the air was real. My son, little Danny, peeked out from behind me, clutching his toy truck. "Mom said you can't take our house," he shouted, though his voice trembled. Karen stomped forward, heels clicking, ignoring my warnings. "I'm calling the police again. You'll see what happens when rules are broken." Her phone was already in her hand, ready to dial. I stayed calm. Because I knew something she didn't. Something she would regret. My fingers brushed the badge tucked inside my jacket. Nobody knew I had been a sheriff for 10 years before retiring. And today, that secret might just save my family. Karen didn't see the security cameras lining the driveway. She didn't notice the signs I'd legally posted showing the property line, the papers proving my ownership. She thought she could intimidate me with her fake authority. Danny looked up at me with wide eyes. "Daddy, and what if they take the house?" I crouched, holding his shoulders. "No one's taking anything, buddy. We're protected. Trust me." Karen's face twisted, rage and confusion fighting for dominance. She pressed her finger against my chest. "You'll regret this," she hissed. I smirked slightly. "I think you're about to regret a lot more than that." And right as she pressed call, my phone buzzed. The video from my driveway cameras was already streaming live, capturing every second of her fake HOA tantrum. Her jaw dropped. Perfect. Here's the second section with rising tension. First major twist, and smooth curiosity. The moment Karen realized the camera was on, her face went pale. She tried to snatch my phone, but I stepped back, keeping it just out of reach. What are you doing?" she stammered, panic creeping into her voice. From the live feed, neighbors began gathering, drawn by the commotion. They whispered, pointing at Karen as she waved the fake HOA notice like a weapon. "This is harassment," she yelled, but her voice sounded smaller now, fragile under the weight of the evidence streaming for everyone to see. Then she made her move. "I called the cops." "They're coming," she shrieked, trying to look brave. But in her rush, she didn't realize the security cameras had caught every moment. Her fake badge, the forged signature on the notice, even her threats toward Danny. I kept my calm. "That's fine. Let them see who's lying," I said, my voice steady. Deep down, I knew her plan was crumbling. She had counted on intimidation, not evidence. Suddenly, a car siren wailed down the street. Karen's eyes lit up with false hope. But it wasn't the cops she expected. It was my old sheriff partner, Mike, who had sworn to check on me after I mentioned Karen's harassment. He stepped out of the car, hand on his belt. "Everything okay here?" he asked, scanning the scene. Karen's jaw dropped again. You're not supposed to be here," she spat. I shook my head, holding the phone high. "See this? She's impersonating HOA authority and threatening my family. Everything's recorded." Mike's eyes went cold as he looked at her. "Ma'am, this looks serious. I think we need to talk to you off the street." Karen's composure cracked completely. She stumbled back, tripping over a flower pot, knocking it to the ground. Her perfectly polished image shattered in seconds. Danny gasped. "Daddy, she's falling apart." I grinned. She just realized she picked the wrong family to mess with. And just like that, the first twist landed. Karen's fake authority exposed live, her threats documented, and the real law enforcement already in motion. But even as she scrambled, I sensed another secret battle was about to unfold. Here's the third section, where the hidden power twist and property rights come into play, turning the tension even higher. Karen's screams filled the air as she tried to recover her composure. You can't do this. This land is under HOA rules," she shouted, pointing at the house like her finger alone could make it hers. I stepped forward, holding the phone steady. "Actually, it's under my name. All legal. Fully documented," I said, letting the words hang in the air. "And those fake notices? Felony forgery." Her eyes widened, panic replacing anger. That can't be," she whispered, fumbling through her purse as if a magic wand would fix everything. Danny ran to me, tugging at my sleeve. "Daddy, is she going to get arrested?" I crouched, keeping my voice calm. "She already is, buddy. It's just a matter of time." Karen didn't notice the small envelope I held up, a packet of signed property deeds, land surveys, and recorded HOA communications. Everything she tried to use against me was in my hands, safely documented. And I hadn't even mentioned the real kicker. My past as a sheriff wasn't just a badge, it was years of training, connections, and the knowledge to handle people like her. "You don't know who you're messing with," she hissed, trying to regain control. "Oh, I do," I replied, showing the live feed to Mike. And apparently, so does everyone else. Neighbors peeked over fences, smartphones in hand, as Karen's tantrum became public evidence. Her carefully built image of control crumbled with every second. Then came the moment that made her freeze completely. I pulled out another phone, one that contained the audio of her previous calls to the HOA, threatening other neighbors with similar intimidation. "We've got the full pattern," I said, pressing play. Her voice filled the air again, this time undeniable proof of her lies and abuse. Karen's lips trembled. You can't." Mike stepped closer, voice firm. "Ma'am, you're going to need to come with me. You're under investigation for impersonating an authority figure and harassment." Her face turned bright red, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. She had underestimated us. Me, my training, my property rights. And now the entire street knew it. Danny hugged my leg, whispering, "You were right, Daddy. She can't hurt us." I smiled, but inside I knew the battle wasn't fully over. Karen was desperate, and desperate people make unexpected moves. The twist wasn't done yet, and I was ready for whatever she tried next. Here's the fourth section, where Karen escalates dramatically, creating tension and setting up the next major twist. Karen's face twisted with rage, her perfectly styled hair now wild and messy. "You think this is over?" she screamed, glaring at me and Danny. "I'm not finished." Before anyone could react, she ran toward her car and slammed the door. I froze for a moment, heart pounding, realizing she wasn't done with her schemes. Moments later, she returned, this time in a uniform. "A police uniform, you can't—" "You're not a cop," I shouted, but it was too late. She banged on my front door, shouting, "Open up! I'm enforcing the law!" Neighbors gasped. Phones were recording again. But her costume looked convincing enough that some of them hesitated. Danny hid behind my legs, eyes wide. I took a deep breath. "Nice try," I muttered under my breath. "But you forgot one thing. These cameras are everywhere, and I know exactly what you're doing." Karen tried to push past me, reaching for the door handle. That's when I calmly pressed a button on my phone. The front gates clicked shut automatically, locking her out. Her face went white. She banged on the gates, shouting threats, but every move was being recorded. Mike stepped forward, shaking his head. "Impersonating law enforcement? That's a serious felony, ma'am. Step back before this gets worse." Karen's voice cracked. You'll regret this." She started dialing frantically again, probably hoping real cops would believe her fake story. I crouched to Danny's level. "Watch closely, buddy. Remember this moment. Sometimes people pretend to have power, but the truth always comes out." Just then, my phone buzzed. A live news alert popped up. One of our neighbors had uploaded the feed online. "Local HOA Karen impersonates police, neighbors fight back," blared the headline. The neighborhood's outrage spread instantly. Karen's eyes widened in horror. No one will believe me." I smiled faintly. "They already do, and soon the real authorities will see everything." Her desperation was palpable. She had overplayed her hand, and the next twist, the one that would finally shatter her plan completely, was already in motion. Here's section 5, where the shocking public humiliation and justice moment hits, raising the stakes even higher. Karen's screams echoed down the street as more neighbors gathered, phones raised, recording every second. "I'm a legal authority. You can't do this," she yelled, waving her fake badge like a weapon, but no one flinched. The live feed, now trending in the neighborhood group chat, showed her every move, and her lies. Mike stepped forward, arms crossed, voice firm. "Ma'am, you've crossed the line too many times. Step back, or we'll have to detain you." Karen tried to argue, but the evidence was crushing. The forged HOA notices, the threatening calls, the attempt to impersonate law enforcement. It was all undeniable. Even the neighbors who had doubted me before now shook their heads in disbelief. Danny tugged at my sleeve. "Daddy, she's really getting in trouble, huh?" I nodded. "Yeah, buddy. Sometimes people forget the rules apply to them, too." Karen's face went red with fury and humiliation. She spun around, trying to escape, but the gates were locked, and her car was blocked by Mike's patrol car. The more she struggled, the more absurd she looked. Heels scraping the pavement, hair messy, the fake badge crooked. Then came the moment that finally broke her. I held up my phone, showing the live feed from my cameras, the security footage of her throwing a tantrum, and the recordings of her threats to neighbors. "All of this," I said calmly, "is going straight to the police department. And to your HOA board." Karen froze. She knew the jig was up. Her face fell, the fire in her eyes replaced with panic. You can't," she whispered. "Yes, I can," Mike said, stepping closer. "And now we will." Neighbors whispered, snapping photos, posting updates online, making sure every move she had made was documented. Karen tried to yell, to argue, but the reality was clear. She had been exposed publicly, humiliated in front of everyone, and there was no way to spin it. Danny hugged my leg tightly. "Daddy, she's done, right?" I ruffled his hair. "She's done. And justice, well, it's finally happening." Even as Karen was led toward Mike's car, screaming and flailing, I couldn't help but smile. The first wave of chaos had passed, but the story wasn't over yet. One last twist was still waiting, something even Karen didn't see coming. Here's section 6, where the final twist and complete exposure hit, making Karen's downfall inevitable. Karen's screams echoed as Mike escorted her toward his patrol car, but she wasn't finished yet. "You'll pay for this. I have friends. I have connections," she spat, her words frantic, almost hysterical. I shook my head, stepping forward calmly. "Actually, that's where you're wrong." I pressed a button on my phone and instantly, emails and messages appeared on the live feed, proof of her previous schemes. Threatening letters to neighbors, falsified HOA records, and even attempts to intimidate local officials. Every lie, every abuse of power documented and undeniable. Her face went pale, her confidence evaporating in seconds. The neighbors gasped as the evidence appeared on a projector screen I'd set up in the driveway earlier, a little surprised to make sure the whole street witnessed it. How?" she stammered, looking around in panic. "I guess you didn't think anyone would actually keep records," I said quietly. "Funny how the truth always comes out." Danny peeked from behind my leg. "Daddy, she looks scared." I smiled faintly. She should be. As Karen was placed in the patrol car, one neighbor shouted, "Finally! She can't just bully everyone anymore." Others nodded, filming, cheering quietly, the community finally seeing justice unfold in real time. Mike closed the door behind her. "Felony impersonation, harassment, intimidation. She's going to face all of it. And thanks to your evidence, there's no way she can deny it." I exhaled, relief washing over me. Danny hugged me tightly. "We're safe now?" "Yes, buddy, safe. And finally free from her nonsense." Even as Karen's car drove away, the twist lingered in the air. The woman who had tried to dominate, manipulate, and terrorize everyone around her was now exposed, humiliated, and powerless. The entire neighborhood had witnessed it, and no amount of fake authority or entitlement could change that. And deep down, I knew that the next time someone tried to bully us, they'd think twice. Here's section 7, where the satisfying revenge and justice moment unfolds, giving the story that legal and emotional payoff. The neighborhood was buzzing the next morning. Word had spread fast. Karen's fake authority, her threats, and her harassment were all exposed. Neighbors stopped by, thanking me, sharing their own stories and offering support. It was strange but satisfying, seeing the community come together. I walked outside to Danny, who was playing near the driveway. "See, buddy? Sometimes standing your ground works," I said, ruffling his hair. Just then, Mike pulled up in his patrol car, holding a folder. "We filed everything with the district attorney," he said. "She's officially facing multiple charges. Felony impersonation, harassment, falsifying documents. The list goes on." Danny's eyes widened. "She's really in trouble?" "Yes," I said, smiling. "And it's all legal. No need for fights, just the truth and the law." Karen, meanwhile, had become an unintentional celebrity. The live feed, screenshots, and recordings went viral in our small town. Everyone knew the story, everyone knew what she had done, and everyone saw her humiliated in front of the neighborhood she had tried to control. I leaned against the fence, looking at the quiet street. It felt peaceful for the first time in weeks. Danny ran up, holding a toy sheriff badge he had found in the driveway. "Daddy, can I be a sheriff like you?" I laughed softly. "You already are, buddy. You already are." The ultimate twist wasn't just Karen's exposure. It was seeing the truth unfold publicly, legally, and powerfully. She had thought her fake authority could control a neighborhood, but instead, it had backfired spectacularly. I looked at my son, the neighbors, and even the cameras still rolling. Freedom, justice, and family safety had won. And as Karen's cries faded in the distance, I knew one thing for certain. No one would ever try to intimidate us again. Here's the final section, Section 8, giving emotional closure, patriotic undertones, and a powerful ending. The street was quiet now, the chaos finally over. Neighbors waved as they passed, some still filming, some just smiling, but all relieved. Danny ran to the front gate, peeking through the bars where Karen had once raged. "Daddy, she's gone for good?" I knelt beside him. "She is, buddy, and she won't be coming back." Mike waved from his car, giving me a nod. "Everything's filed, documented in public. She's facing the consequences." Danny hugged my leg tightly. "I knew you'd protect us." I felt a surge of pride, not just for myself, but for our family, for the neighborhood, for the truth. That's what we do, Danny. We stand up for what's right, even when it's scary. I looked around, the cameras, the neighbors, the flags fluttering in the gentle wind. Freedom, safety, and justice had won today. Karen's fake authority couldn't take that from us. She had underestimated the people, the law, and the power of truth. Danny smiled up at me. "Daddy, we're like heroes." I laughed softly. "Heroes, huh? Maybe. But the real hero is the truth, and that's something no fake badge or fake rule can ever take away." As the sun set, casting a warm glow over our home, I knew we had sent a message. No one can bully, threaten, or manipulate when the truth and courage stand in the way. Land, family, and freedom weren't just words, they were worth protecting. And for the first time in weeks, the driveway was peaceful. Danny played with his toy trucks, neighbors chatted quietly, and I leaned back, watching the horizon. Karen's reign of intimidation was over, and in its place was something stronger: justice, safety, and the unshakable power of standing up for what's yours. I whispered to Danny, "We didn't fight for this country just to be told we couldn't live on our own land. Remember that." He grinned, and in that moment, I knew, no matter what came next, we were ready. The story is now complete with all 8 sections. Explosive hook, multiple twists, hidden power reveal, public exposure, revenge, justice, and emotional patriotic ending, all with smooth flow, simple English, and curiosity that keeps viewers hooked.